All right, and we're now finally on here. Sorry for the delay. Um, Fighting with my settings and had to deal with something outside of this. So glad you all joined us. Let me go ahead and say hello to those who have appeared in the chat. Exalted Speed. Yeah, I'm sorry I didn't invite you either, buddy, but kind of on the fly. Jason's the one that brought this to my attention. Hello, Onic14, Derek 2011, Leandro, the Mickey Mouse Riding Pluto Fan Club, MJ Zilla, Noraski Quartz, Jesse Warardo, Vinkman, Golden Fox, Avatar Machiru, Hateful Eight, Bunny Boo, interesting name. Thank you for the $5 super chat, Gen X Geek, for just cuz. Ren Suzugamori, Wolfbane, and let's see here, Torque the Prisoner, Brian Dillingham, $2 super chat, thank you very much. Papa Huds 96, or 69 rather. Daniel Cummin, or Kerhuman. I don't know how to pronounce that. I'm sorry. I am bad at this. Jack of all claws. Ether2468. Why can't people just be named Steve, man? Jim Largo, thank you for joining us. The Purple Artist. Badre Bali. Hello, Bali. See you all the time. Neptune Sky. Phoenix Heart. Kanji, this name I can't recognize currently. Cadno 2099, KR Brickbot, and I think I covered just about all of them, but alright, so first of all, before we start, there's something very special we need to do here. As most of you have heard, we have lost Louis Anderson. Louis Anderson is primarily known as a stand-up comic, but to Jason and I, the primary thing he played in our lives was, of course, his show, Life with Louis. I don't know what channel Jace watched it on, but when I was a kid, it was on Fox, and that's how it premiered.
Fox Kids.
Fox Kids for you too? Okay. It was a quality show. It was well written, very heart-filled, and it made a pretty large impact on a lot of things. I wish more quote-unquote adult cartoons could embrace that heart. So we're going to give a moment of silence for Louis Anderson. And now that we've shown respects to a good man, we're going to make fun of one that's not so good. All right, perfect. So last week, Jace, in his typical fashion, is like, hey, Leo, I found something that we need to talk about on stream. That's what it was. And he told me it was a video by an individual named ItsaGundam. And the video title is Why Comics Are Dying and Manga is Thriving, Explained in Autistic Detail. Now, I want to be clear here. I don't tend to make fun of the autistic for being autistic because that's not how I roll. I don't make fun of people for things they can't control. However, real quick, thank you for the $5 super chat as well. Just cuz from Mark from Jody. But when somebody says autistic detail, people who are on the spectrum hyper focus on things generally, and they can tell you things about the stuff they like that'll blow your freaking mind. So when somebody says they're doing something with, and I quote, autistic detail, I expect detail I would never have believed possible.
Or at least what I was expecting is numbers crunching and comparing and evidence of one affecting the other. You know, that's what I expect when somebody's saying autistic detail, in my opinion. So but why are you prefacing like this? What are you expecting, a clickbait, Leo?
No, not really. I always give an intro to what we do here.
Okay.
We did this with Pride, whatever it was.
Oh, Pride was a masterpiece that will forever live in my heart.
Yeah, along with every single clogged artery. Because it's a disease. But anyways, the only thing I know about ItsaGundam is he's annoying to listen to. He has no clue what he's talking about at the time, and he's like one of those guys that never gets laid but always talks about sex. So when we
that is so accurate. Jesus Christ. Fuck. That almost killed me. Shit.
So the irony in my channel is that my name comes from a Transformer, but I generally talk about Thundercats. Of course, I also talk about Transformers too, but with ItsaGundam, he never talks about Gundam. So why he has that screen name instead of Culture War Screecher number 72, I don't know. Real quick, thank you for the $2 super chat. Avatar Machiro, who would you choose to read, DC or Marvel Comics? Actually read a bit of both. How about you,
Who
Jace?
who would you choose though? You need to choose.
Oh,
like, if you
DC.
couldn't read anything else, like
It'd be DC. If I had to choose
DC?
between those
Well,
two, if I had to choose like broad spectrum, I just read
uh-huh.
Usagi Yojimbo. But go ahead.
Well, I think you know my answer is Marvel. Naturally, it has to be.
Because Marvel has Punisher, and that's what Jace likes.
Exactly. DC doesn't have Punisher. They have great equivalents to it, but those have been fucking on hiatus for years now. So, you know.
All right, so we are going to go through this video, and Jace and I are going to give you, and I quote, the autistic detail this video fails to give you. So,
Well, we'll try.
Let me go ahead and pass Jace the Watch Together link before I forget, like a stupid idiot.
Yeah, you stupid idiot. I can stream with a stupid idiot. I gotta watch a stupid idiot.
Right?
Stupid idiot.
Surrounded by it. I also got Motu Thunder messaging me right now because he's all big bad.
No.
For the chat, he told me earlier today that if he lived near me, he would burn my house down. All because I criticized the toy line. He's 41. That's the type of guy we're dealing with. It's fantastic.
Isn't he married or something like that?
I don't believe him.
Hmm.
I don't believe him.
Fuck, okay. Let me see. Oh, what the hell? Well, that's interesting. Let me try that again.
It's not working.
Invalid access code. Please
Access
use
code.
a valid invitation link.
What?
Box at the top of the room or use the share button.
Okay. I'll use the share button then.
Oh, okay.
It takes forever
Try that.
to do this.
I hate when websites come up with changes that are not necessary. Am I right, YouTube, with the dislike button?
Oh my god, it probably just sent you to the actual video, didn't it?
Yes, it sent me to the actual video. I think it meant on the website's share button or whatever, you know what I mean?
If I can find the thing, this website's kind of goofy in how it sets things up. I think I found it.
Yeah. Okay.
All the way off in the top right-hand corner in some yellow thingy.
Let's see if that works. Hey, it worked. It's a miracle of Jesus.
Thank you again for the other $5 super chat, Jody. Glad you're doing a live stream at a fairly decent time, not at like 3 a.m. Just a European naggity here. I'm actually on with a European, so you can thank Jace for that one.
That's on me. He had to fucking fall under my time here.
All right, so you ready, Jace?
Yes, I am.
It's time
just to test if it goes.
All right, go ahead.
Diamond is it.
There we go. It works.
Let's rewind it. It is time for the pain. Let me know if I need to adjust anything.
Diamond is it. That's how you get your comic books. If you're a comic book retailer, I am a comic book retailer, a brick and mortar comic book retailer, Jay and Silent Bob's Secret Stash, located in beautiful downtown Redback, New Jersey, currently closed due to the pandemic and stuff. So I'm very familiar with the good folks at Diamond. Why?
What's the point of this?
Because Diamond has stopped.
Good question.
What?
What?
Diamond has stopped distributing.
Yeah. Well, I was gonna ask, how do you feel knowing that the video starts with your most favorite comic book writer?
You know, as much as I dislike Kevin Smith far more than just Revelation, because again, he's being painted as scapegoat when it's actually Rob David's fault. If he likes comics, I don't care. I don't care if the video starts with him. I know it's for clicks, but he's making a joke about the fact that Diamond isn't doing a lot of distributing anymore because the market's changed, God forbid. And I guess that signs that the market's dying somehow because it changed. It's stupid.
Let me stop you. Some people are saying increase the volume a tiny bit.
Yeah,
I'm not sure. Okay, cool. Let's try that now.
It'd be funny if it weren't so pathetic. No, what the heck? I'll laugh anyway.
I know this quote like the back of my hand.
Yeah, waste of a quote though.
True.
It's a Gundam with like what, a fedora in the background or a sun hat assassin.
Oh my god, it isn't an ironic fedora. I didn't even recognize. I didn't even notice that the first time I watched this vid. That flew. Oh my god, milady.
The Western comic book industry, what was once a mighty medium with amazing characters and crazy levels of storytelling and creativity, is now a shallow husk of its former glory. It's barely able to keep downwind of manga.
Yeah. No. Look, the guy's editing's good, but it's really low random, and he's not able to substantiate anything he says. So let's continue to listen here. Just hear where he's going to go with this. We've already seen it, but yeah.
Which is sprinting off into the distance, collecting all the monies.
Is it?
But the comic book industry isn't as fleet-footed as it once was. In fact, It's about as athletic as an asthmatic hen named Gordon. The comic book industry has been
I don't get it.
But
I
low
don't get
random. Low random. Low random. The
Is
dude's
that is that the comic? I don't know if he's part of Comicsgate. I'll assume he is. But if that's the level of comedy they're operating on, I got some bad news for them. Oh boy.
I mean, we've seen Jawbreakers, so.
Don't spoil it. Come on.
I'm not spoiling anything. I didn't tell them how bad it is. But he's talking about comic as though it was at one point super high in Americana, and it was in the 30s to 50s. That's why it was called the Golden Age. It's because we didn't have much outside of comics to enjoy.
Yeah, I mean, what did we have? Radio as opposed to that, and books. Cool.
I mean, Radio also had The Shadow, which was
it was cool. I'm not like mocking those mediums, but I'm saying there was a lot less competition than there is today in terms of entertainment. And on top of that, there was a high demand for it, not just from casual readers like you and I or whatever. There were wars going on back then. And soldiers were shipped comics regularly because that was one of the things that allowed them to get away from the misery that they were surrounded with. Nowadays, there are wars, but they're not the same as they once were, you know. And there's other outlets for entertainment. So, no shit.
Let's continue here.
For the worst ever since, I'd say, the early 2000s or the 20 teens.
Does he have any data to back this?
Yeah, I'd just take his word for it. He's showing a picture of "Ask me about my feminist agenda." Wonder Woman wearing the shirt. That's it. That's all. That's all the evidence I need.
He's not even showing what account is tweeting that.
Oh, actually, yeah. I can't even tell. You're right.
Am I gonna pretend that some of the ways they try to coach their ideals are not completely ham-fisted? No, absolutely not. But manga's not any better in that case. Let's continue.
And it's only gotten progressively worse.
Man, they sure like dogging on this book, don't they?
I know, right? It's like a book meant for kids, whose main demographic is kids. And the book, even, like, I haven't read it. I watched someone else read it and talk about it, in my opinion, fairly. The book isn't even trying to push forward the agendas they seem to present that it's pushing. And I'm going like, why are you grilling a book that is meant for kids, whose target demographic is kids, like, to such an extent?
I have no idea, but frankly, like, it's a book about an angry teenage girl who's angry at her mom, made for teenagers. Right. I mean, duh, it's made for teenagers. And again, let me go ahead and point out the hypocrisy here. The main people who are angry at this book, it isn't really about the art style. It's not even about the main character being quote unquote ugly, whatever their subjective value for that is. It's the fact that, well, this doesn't portray Starfire like she was in the Teen Titans cartoon, which, for old people like you, me, and I see Kecker's boy in the chat, your Teen Titans cartoon didn't portray Starfire as she was in the comics, so I don't want to hear it.
God, if only Starfire looked as she was in the comics.
I mean,
in the cartoon.
I wouldn't complain, but continuing.
With the popularity of the MCU movies, longtime fans were attacked on Twitter for being bigoted and toxic.
One moment. No, Leandro, it was not worse than High Guardian Spice. Trust me, it's not worse than High Guardian Spice. That is a whole different level of trash. Let's continue.
Sexist, instant phobes. Everybody.
All right, so let's see here. Okay, I deleted the original tweet in the thread. My intent was to make fun of all the bigots and people making hateful comments towards the book. But obviously my intent doesn't matter. Wording is hurtful to non-binary and LGBTQ friends, and apologies fans to people who are offended by it. Who cares?
That's one question. Second, I'm actually legitimately curious as to what comic Donny Cates is referring to, because I said before, Donny Cates is one of today's best writers in terms of like being a workhorse in the comic book industry. He's the one that's being like sagged with all sorts of titles in Marvel, and he actually tries and makes the best of them. Big one was obviously two big ones: Cosmic Ghost Rider and Venom. Mm-hmm. Just the most recent ones. So I'm legitimately curious as to what comic he's referring to. But you know, I love how this guy goes like, "Oh, look at Donny Cates. He's apologizing. Fucking got him."
Real quick to address the chat, Hinata-chan. It is targeted towards children, but I also use the term children more loosely than a lot of other people. I think a child's anything under 18. So it's obviously targeted towards older teenagers, not like 10-year-olds. And to Leandro, no, I think it's just there's a difference between a large pile of dog crap in your backyard and elephant crap that you have to sponge out of the elephant because it's constipated. That's the difference here.
What an amazing image. Thank you.
Bigger issue because this is a redder. That's the argument you're going to give. I'd ask if you've read the comic, because the comic's not really all that bad. It's probably the least offensive of some of the other things I've seen aimed towards kids before. All right, let's continue.
Buzzword to belittle you, besmirch your character, you filthy, rotten man babies.
Dude, you do the same thing.
Yes, I was about to fucking say it. He's literally doing the same thing right here in this video. What?
Look, if your argument's going to be don't insult these people, then you shouldn't do the same thing to them. My argument's always my hands are rated E for everyone. If somebody wants to come at me, cool, I'll come at them too. Like, equal rights, equal fights. But you can't sit there and get mad when these people, these creators are bombarded by douchebags. Oh, they said something mean about me. Can't do that. Dude, the only reason why older creators didn't do this is because social media wasn't a thing back then. If you were pulling this nonsense with, like, Jim Aparo or Dennis O'Neil back in the day, they'd probably respond in the same negative way because you're being negative towards them.
Oh, or Alan Moore. Imagine that interaction.
No. Alan Moore would not retweet. He'd, like, put curses on people and pray to the snake god.
You'd turn into a snake in, like, 3 days or something. But I was going to say is that, on top of that, we're forgetting he's grabbing these snapshots from Twitter. It's fucking Twitter. Like, the website is a cesspool of arguments. Like, you could literally say, I like broccoli, and you'd have, like, over 600 people shitting on you and, you know, telling them that they're going to burn your house down.
Well, let's go ahead and look at it. Their argument seems to be like Tom Taylor. I believe comics are for everyone. Okay. There's no excuse for harassment. Okay. There's no place for homophobia. Fine. Transphobia. Fine. Racism. Fine. Or misogyny in comics. Why is this considered yelling and talking down to people?
Apparently it is. I don't know why. Maybe, I mean, it's a thing that is being said. Like, it's sort of a decent person type of mentality, I guess. Or, I mean, I guess somebody could see it as talking down, but you're not his audience. He's not talking down to you. He's talking down to his audience, if that's the case. So why do you give a shit?
Again, look at this. It's all comics are for everyone. What's the problem here?
Because they're not for everyone, Leo. They're for me.
Only me.
Only me.
Let's continue.
Comic books are now for everyone, Twitter cheered. But riddle me this, Batman. If comic books are for everyone, then why doesn't everyone buy them?
Because not everybody's interested in the medium, nor does everybody get appealed to by this medium. And 90% of American comics, if not a larger degree, are all superhero ones. And that doesn't appeal to everybody either.
Well, I mean, I was going to say, he's going to be talking about manga. Well, manga's okay. So why doesn't everybody buy them? I can literally say the same argument to him right now.
He's about to contradict himself. So.
Oh, yeah? Great. Fantastic. I love those.
Watch. Don't you bring my boy Jobby into this. That's just dirty.
I don't even know who that is.
That's Jobby the Hong. He's a good man. He's not a little depressed.
Now, don't get me wrong and misconstrue this. Comic books have always been for everyone. It's been one of the few mediums throughout history that was, in my opinion, inclusive and open to anyone who was interested in them. But...
yeah. Just contradicted himself.
Yes, but not only that, is that, like, you could argue that not necessarily. I mean, do we really have to keep bringing up the 90s? I mean, I love the 90s, don't get me wrong. There's some really dumb books that are just fun, but Jesus Christ, the amount of just... I would not blame a woman for hating comics forever if she were to stumble upon comics in the 90s, you know? So...
Look, Rob Liefeld is a great artist of bug women and no feet, okay? I will... and Captain America 3/4 chest.
Oh my god. If only he was the only offender. Did you see that edit of Captain America image naked just to show the
I did, and it's great. I love it.
Anyways.
The core fan base of the comic book industry has always been young men to early adulthood men.
I don't think that's true anymore.
Yeah, but want things to change, Leo. I don't want them to change. I want it to be the same.
Well, if you'll notice, he's making all these statements, these factually based statements, allegedly factual, but no data to pull them up. Yeah, back in the day, they were primarily consumed by children and younger adults. he says while he has a picture of Muhammad Ali reading his fight against Superman.
Right. I love Muhammad Ali mainly because there's some great fucking stories you can tell about this guy. But one of the things that is a negative, I guess, in Muhammad Ali's is he's such an egomaniac. Like, holy shit, he's such an egomaniac.
I'm so pretty.
Yeah, but what was it? Is that, well, he's also missing the point that it wasn't just all young adult men. Most young adult men were beating the shit out of the other guys who were reading said comics. So let's not pretend that all the men were into this. There was a good majority of men who were absolutely making the fucking fun out of the people who were reading comics back then. So
yeah, and real quick, I want to address the chat. Spaghetti Maton, we're not talking about him here. You can go back to Twitter and complain about that. One thing you'll find that ItsaGundam doesn't address in here is European comics and which ones were popular there. Because Europeans primarily didn't consume, like, Batman and Superman. It was primarily stuff like
Donald Duck.
Yeah, Donald Duck, Uncle Scrooge, Tintin, stuff like that. But I don't know if the cron numbers account for global or just American sales.
Well, also another one, Asterisk and Obelix.
Yeah,
that's the correct.
Didn't that guy pass away not too long ago?
I think so. I don't remember.
I mean, he was old when I was a kid, so.
Yeah.
All right, continuing.
And the supporters of the now failing industry that's on life support.
Citation needed, evidence required.
That's all you need. That's literally all you need. Citation needed, evidence required to debunk this idiot.
Also, why are manga outselling superhero comics?
That's a legitimate source, guys. Why are manga?
Why are manga? I mean, there's a lot of really good reasons why it's outselling American superhero comics. A lot of good reasons. None of it has to do with what he's about to bring into. Let's continuing.
Is being propped up on the shoulders of middle-aged men, at best.
And?
Leo, is that you? Oh my god.
No.
Doxed you.
We all know I don't have a beard. Real quick, doesn't Garfield flat out outsell pretty much every superhero comic? Garfield is an eldritch entity which no man can truly understand or explain.
I hate Mondays.
I also hate Mondays. And I want to kick the dog off the table and destroy Nermal. All right.
Okay.
Because the younger generation doesn't really care about the comic book industry.
Do not buy
Citation needed, evidence required.
So what his argument is because you have K-pop people out there that comics aren't something they care about? Does he know?
You said earlier. Sorry, I'll cut you off. You said earlier that he has good editing. Where? I'm not seeing it. Where?
Earlier in the video. I mean, keep in mind, I'm comparing it to my editing.
Okay, you're comparing. I'll tell you what, your editing is way better than his because at least your editing is to the point. So.
All right, continue.
Let's face it, it's not supreme. The children are waiting for the drips.
I don't get it. Is this some new fandangled humor these days that I don't get?
He's trying to meme, and he's just really bad at it.
And the people on Twitter don't give a rat's ass about comics unless it's an issue that panders to some sort of idealism.
And you don't care about it unless it's an issue you can turn into clickbait and mumble your mouth about for 25 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. You don't care if it doesn't offend you. So once it offends you, though, you care. Like, this is such a roundabout way of arguing. And I'm not even saying that, that there is no pandering in comics. Absolutely. It's comics. It's a business. It's going to pander any way it can to sell, to sell. But one of the things I like is that, oh, no, the son of Superman is gay now. And I'm going like, okay, well, that's a change. Maybe I'm not actually familiar with that character, but let's assume it's a change. Is there a good story behind it? I'm not just going to hate on it because he's gay and that's it,
And oh my god, the way DC dropped the homophobic colorist from Superman Son of Kal-El 5 and had the kiss scene recolored by Hi-Fi, instantly elevating the scene with a beautiful vibrant colors and soft lights. We do love to see it. Did the dude make his colors murky on purpose? They're kind of ugly compared to Hi-Fi. It looks way too dark and desaturated for what's supposed to be a romantic scene for sure. Dude exposed himself as a homophobe, so it's not unlikely. Is this supposed to be indicative of a lot of people talking about comics? Because I can find you a stupid Twitter take for just about everything. And I do mean just about everything.
It's not that hard. I'd probably, if you played a shot every time I found a stupid take on Twitter, if I took a shot every time, I'd probably be dead.
Also, I just had somebody on Twitter say that Dragon Ball Super is high fiction.
Oh, here we go.
High fiction.
It's not.
Unironically,
It's
by the
garbage.
way. So yeah. Stupid. You can find Twitter takes that are dumb anytime you open the app because Twitter's filled with people and people are stupid. I.e., it's a Gundam.
Now, see, Dragon Ball GT is high fiction. I mean, everybody knows that.
The second season. All right, continue.
Okay.
You know, taking long-term established characters and making them gay or trans.
Son of Superman's a long-term established character?
There are so many Superman children that I've lost track of which one it is at this point. Is this the biological one, the clone one?
This is Superman's biological child, primarily made during the Rebirth relaunch. I think in 2015, 2016. But no, he hasn't been a long-established character. No, this is again these people talk about comics when they know dick all about it, and I'm tired of it. Like, if you want somebody to speak for you and you're a fan of comics, don't go to these morons. They don't like comics and they don't read them.
Well, I'm gonna talk about that a bit later. Actually, touched on it, but let's continue. Let's keep going.
Bisexual, but as they say in a gay community,
call that buy now, gay later.
Oh yeah.
When you're like in 10th grade and you're like, I'm bi.
Jesus
oh my God, the cat takes a fart and it sounds like a whoopee cushion. Long time.
What the fuck was that? What was that whole thing?
I don't know.
What was that whole thing? Oh yeah, bisexual, but it's actually gay. I'm like, do you care? Do you really care? Like, if he were like, I would have more, not respect, but like, he would have more credibility in my eyes if he were to actually review the story where the son of Superman becomes gay, and actually give a review of that, because at least that would mean he actually read it. You know what I mean?
Real quick, why is he trying to also speak for the gay community?
The gay community?
Yeah, that's what the gay community calls, buy now, gay later. It's...
Well, because he's gay, obviously. Come on. Not that there's anything wrong with being gay.
We'll see if he responds to that. That'll be interesting. But apparently John Kent came out in 2013. I'm not really too familiar with that. I kind of skipped the majority of the New 52, so I don't remember when it stopped or started. I genuinely did not like the New 52. Didn't care for that take on Superman.
I don't think anybody did.
I think that's true, and that's why they went with Rebirth, which, by the way, was fun. Let's see here.
Comic book fans were fleeing the medium like rats from the sinking
citation needed, evidence required
ship that the comic book industry now is. The never-ending sanctimonious pandering to the non-existent audience is...
Dude, your side of the aisle always does sanctimonious pandering. You're doing it right now.
Right now.
You are doing it right now, you unaware imbecile. Also, again, I'm waiting for the autistic detail. Can you give us anything?
I'm kind of off topic, but it's kind of fucking creepy to me that this guy sounds a little bit like Godzilla Mendoza. I'm going like, whoa, I'm getting a dissonance here.
Aw, I like Godzilla Mendoza though. He's not an idiot.
Yeah, I do. Yeah. Anyways.
It's self-defeating. Case in point, diversity hires.
Can you prove that they're hired due to their diversity? Can you show me actual, documentation to prove that that's why they were hired?
Yeah. Can you show me the transcript of their interview that they had with Marvel that got them the job? Because clearly you must have it because you're making such a bold statement. Like, I hate it. It's the annoying thing isn't even the fact that there's no citation or blah blah blah. The annoying thing is that this idiot has followers. That's the problem.
Right. I read them in the comment section. Real quick, Kecker's boy, yes, and also. I bought the Super Sons Omnibus like a couple years ago. If any of you want to read like just really warm and fuzzy fun stories, pick up the Super Sons Omnibus. It is genuinely a treat. Like, I love that book. It's great. Bendis doesn't want to write kids because Bendis doesn't remember being a kid. Also, I don't like Bendis. I like looking at and reading comics, not just reading them.
What a fucking accurate statement that is. Jesus, it's like Michael Bendis on one side, Ethan Van Sciver on the other. God. Which one is worse? You take your pick.
I was actively reading Superman Rebirth stories until Bendis showed up, and then I'm like, nope. I immediately said, nope, not reading it. Gerald
I'm sorry. I was going to say, late to the parade, hey everyone, keep on trucking Leo. I thought that said, keep on sucking Leo.
You wish. All right. So continuing.
They pick people who put out books that are quickly forgotten.
Well, yeah, I mean, nobody likes Zoe Quinn. They probably did it so idiots like you would cover it. Congratulations, you played into their scheme.
One book failed. And? Yes? Guess what? Comic book industry has had shitty writers even before Zoe Quinn came along.
Oh my god,
what
yes.
does this prove?
They've had some outright terrible writers.
Exactly. So what does this prove? I'm lost.
Nothing. Continuing.
Comics, as I recall. Is that right?
Right.
Vertigo. That's correct. Yeah, DC Comics did this. This got into comic book stores. This was everything, and that's all that it could sell, even with that. There's just not a market for this stuff. There's not a market for these grifters.
I'm pretty sure whoever just said that's also a grifter. So, I mean, the devil can't cast out the devil. They use a biblical term.
Good one. That's pretty good. It's pretty good. I like that.
Ouch, it's Exalted Speed. We had Dan Slott before Zoe Quinn. I felt that.
Correct. Very much correct. I don't even. Is this another YouTuber that he's inserted? Is this his favorite show?
Well, considering he went to Kiwi Farms, it's probably either Ethan Van Sciver or your boy Zach.
Or both of them.
You know, at least your boy Zach could put out his comics. And he shouldn't have, but at least he did.
Good point, but also, please don't do it ever again. How's about that?
We will pay you not to.
Oh, he should start a GoFundMe to not publish comics. I'll donate. I'll be the first one.
I did send that comment, by the way, to Exalted in the chat. That poor man had to suffer with us, so at least we had somebody else suffering. But let's continue.
Here we go. Pandering.
I'm sorry to break this to you, but Captain America is a social justice warrior.
He was also just a regular warrior. Like,
yeah, I mean,
he literally fought in wars.
True. I also just go like, SJ, I hate how words have become so transformative in today's day and age, you know what I mean? And phrases. So, social justice warrior probably at some point was perceived as a good, because it sounds like a good thing. It sounds like something that you would want to be, but oh well. I don't know if she's wrong or not. I'm pretty sure she's correct. That's a correct statement about Captain America. He was aware of social issues always and tried to fight them, or be on the right side.
Yep, from technical definition, he is by technicality a social justice warrior, specifically on the warrior aspect, because he killed Nazis.
And then he joined them. Remember that?
LioConvoy, we don't talk about that. Is a good reason why manga may outsell comics, because sometimes we get to see them in anime and we never get season 2 to find out what happened. That's one part of it, but there's a much bigger reason we'll touch on later.
Really, Queen?
No. Don't care.
Now, let's be real here. I'm not saying that comic books didn't have a message, because they did. The genius of the old guard...
At least, I'll give him this. At least he is not parroting the point of, wow, comics are so political today. I don't like it anymore.
No, his argument is now going to be that they're not political in the way he prefers.
Right, exactly. But at least he acknowledges the fact that that comics were always political to some extent. So there's a little bit that I'm willing to give here, but that little bit is just about to get evaporized with his next stupid statement, I'm sure.
Yes, Ezra, we know Captain America is not real. Neither is wrestling, neither is G.I. Joe, neither is Transformers, and neither is probably...
What? Wrestling's not real?
And neither is probably the Twitch girl that's a VTuber that you gave $500 to last month. That's probably not real, or if nothing else, probably not really a girl. So, let's continue.
Guard was this. They never beat you over the head with the message that...
Oh, yes, they did!
Oh, yes, they did! If I legitimately, you might disagree with me, and that's fine, but you know how I read comics. I find a character that I'm interested in, and I try to, start chronologically. So Moon Knight was one that I started recently with, and I try to go chronologically when he first appeared, blah, blah. So I'm reading these old comics, and it's nothing but fucking text and text and text to the point where I'm suffering through it, but I'm interested in the character in the newer stories, so I'm suffering through it. They absolutely beat you over the head with it, because comics was not a science back then. Neither is it today. You cannot get them right. Some things are going to go out of fashion, and I think blocks of text went out of fashion years ago.
Even looking at the original Transformers comic, it beat you over the head with their political or social ideology. What is Optimus Prime's actual constant quote? And that would be, "Freedom is the right of all sentient beings."
Right.
That's pretty heavy-handed.
You're right. Exactly. They didn't beat you over the head. Like, this romanticization of old comics is ridiculous to me.
Now,
usually, and for those of you who, sorry, real quick, for those of you who tend to just easily fall for these types of video content, quote unquote, content creators, if they say stuff like this that is extremely generalized, where it's like, oh, back in the days, everything was better, they're probably most likely full of shit and don't even know what they're talking about.
There's give and take on both ends. I love the Batman run from the late 70s to the late 80s. I like some of the 90s stuff, but man, Nightfall was a brilliant story that got dragged on too long. Absolutely same thing with the Clone Saga. We don't even need to put a pin in that. But the 90s was also a terrible time, and of course he's not specifically using the 90s. I do need to point that out. He's not even specifically using the 90s here, but using older comics as a pivot of, well, they didn't do X. It's pretty obvious you haven't read them. Now, you could argue very easily and effectively, if you had a brain, that it's about how they were written. You can bash somebody over the head with your values and do it well, or you can bash somebody over the head with your values and do it poorly, like how he's doing right now. And yes, I know that apparently the best graphic novel of December was outsold Manga, and it was a trade of a webtoon comic that some people accuse apparently being Tumblr trash. That's from Badre Baldi, who keeps a closer eye on this than even I do.
Very
Gundam,
good.
don't know a lot about Gundam, to be honest. He just used it to... That is stupid. Why would you name yourself after something you know dick all about?
Right? I'll have to change my name to Punisher 1305.
Where do you live? On the edge.
On the edge.
All right, continuing.
They were trying to convey to you. Nor was it the focus of the book itself.
Jack Kirby literally killed Nazis. And when he had Klans members angry about Black Panther and told him that they were in the lobby waiting to fight him, he rolled up his sleeves and went down to hurt them, only to find out that they did not show. I'm sorry, but Jack Kirby, brilliant man, fantastic penciler, great draftsperson, but he would unquestionably beat you over the head with his values. You want to know why he would? Because he was right.
Right. Not right-leaning, by the way, Gundams, if you're going to be watching this, just so you don't get confused. He was right in the sense that he was morally right. Maybe not all the time, but, you know. But see, here's the thing. You say this, right? And I'm thinking, well, you know, it sounds like a good thing, but to me, I wouldn't probably enjoy that story because it's still like hitting you, like you said, he was hitting you over the head with this message, and I probably wouldn't. Like, there's only so much of Nazi beatings that you can enjoy, and while they're pretty enjoyable, they can get repetitive as well. So, like, set them on fire or something. I don't know. Like, use your imagination.
Moment.
Are you there? Hello?
Yeah, just give me a second. Respond to somebody.
Okay. Meanwhile, I see Bombastic Blake is in the chat. I haven't seen him for a while.
All right, so continuing.
Everything was about the characters and the stories, not political posturing.
Which is also part of characters and their stories.
What? No.
Now, are these comics I would like to read? Well, no, because, again, climate change in a Superman comic is kind of, Snowflake and Safe Space got destroyed by both political leanings because it was just tone deaf. And Kamala...
What? You're telling me you didn't enjoy the character who gained his powers from internet farts? What?
Look, if they had made a Captain Planet comic like that, beautiful. That would have been perfect.
Oh, God damn it! How could you possibly sell me on that stupid idea? I start a GoFundMe. I'm backing it.
And yes, Golden Fox, some superheroes were made because of political events, i.e. Captain America. And yes, Mrs. Marvel, a immigrant, would probably be interested in going to the polls because teenagers now are very interested in the political. I feel great sorrow for them because I'm sorry we live in a world where they have to or feel they have to be. I'd rather than just have a childhood. But yeah, her book, last I checked, isn't quite dead. So continuing.
Or agenda pushing.
Agenda pushing. Here. Let me kill this. Every story you read, every story you hear, pushes an agenda. Every single one. It does not matter what it's about. It does not matter what it's to. If your Uncle Jimmy is telling you about a cashier at the store that was a jerk to him, he's trying to sell you on his agenda that he wasn't the bad guy in the interaction. He might not be.
Right.
Every story has a purpose that leads you to an idea, an ideology, or a viewpoint. Everything has an agenda. It does not matter if you don't think it does.
Correct. But also, I want to address, you put up a picture of She-Hulk. As you can see, that art is atrocious, by the way. It's terrible.
A lot of people complained about how she's portrayed in that. You know what my response to those people is?
Stop reading it. Stop buying it.
Or wait a year and she'll change back. And guess what?
Yeah, exactly.
Changed back.
Exactly. But that's the thing. That's one of those decisions where I looked at that and I went, that was a terrible decision. Why did they do to my girl She-Hulk, man? Like, because I didn't like her because she was hot and she was flirty and all this other cringe shit. I liked her because she was just a very alive character, if you know what I mean. And guess what? Like you said, gave it a couple of years, things went back to the status quo, like they always do. Like they always do.
I mean, I can even point out DuckTales has an agenda. The original. You know what the original DuckTales agenda was?
Tell me, please.
Adventuring is cool.
That's a terrible agenda. You should not.
And McDuck wants more money.
I like the fact that when Donald can speak in the new DuckTales, he turns into a badass soldier.
I am the storm. Have you always been saying stuff like that? Continuing.
I've always tried to do our stories so that it didn't matter if you were of the white race, the black race, the brown race, or whatever. So social issues I try to get in the background or underlaying a plot, but never to the point of letting it interfere with the story or hitting the reader over the head.
I've never...
I just want to pause and I'm going like, oh man, Stan, everybody's grandpa, he's gone. Still fucking can't believe it, man. I thought he was gonna be here forever. I thought I was gonna die before him.
Well, they thought the same thing of Betty White.
I don't know. Betty White wasn't that much of a part of my cultural childhood, I guess. But you know,
and also I'll cut you off. I will forever cherish the moment in Spider-Man the Animated Series where Spidey got to meet Stan Lee. That was. To me, it's perfect. Anyways, carry on. Real quick here. Would you say, Lyle, what would you say is the difference between propaganda and putting a message in your story? I have a friend who thinks all media is propaganda. To a point, all media is.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is, these things are not mutually exclusive. You can do both. If we're talking about general, like, wartime type propaganda, that's a different matter altogether. But anything can be considered propaganda.
Yeah. Well, another thing, somebody just pointed, Leandro Bochkarov. It's a very Russian name, dude. He pointed out that, like, okay, but this guy's clearly going to talk about how manga's outselling stuff. Are you mean to tell me that manga does not beat people over the head with their agendas? That manga has no agenda? Really? Really? Well, there you go.
You know, when those guys say that, well, manga doesn't hammer an agenda to the audience, I want to pick up an issue of Moriarty and the Patriot rubbing their faces. That one I'm not familiar with, but Fist of the North Star's entire point was it's not violence that's bad, it's how you use it, and if you have strength, you should use it to defend the weaker. Hokuto, how correct skin. But also, like...
Are you going to eat that?
Bugman. All right, so... Jack Kirby is somebody I also feel a lot of pity for, along with Stan Lee. Stan Lee I feel a lot of pity for because, like, he was robbed. Literally. Mm-hmm. That man died generally penniless, and a lot of these...
Yeah.
A lot of these old school masters also did.
Mm-hmm.
Because of what the industry did to them. But these idiots are more concerned with whether or not it has a political take you don't like than they are what the industry does to people.
They're not pushing my politics, so they deserve it. Fuck you.
Also, I love the way Jack Kirby draws hands because they're just so meaty. All right, continuing.
I've never confined my art to a particular section of humanity. I love people in general. My art reflects it, and that's the way it's always been.
Real quick, I want to interject. This is the man who came up with Black Panther. If he was conceptualized now, all these grifter YouTubers would be crying about a diversity inclusion.
Oh my god, yes. Oh my, as soon as you'd see a black character on the cover of a comic, Oh my God, Marvel's pushing an agenda instantly. If Jack Kirby was like flourishing today as an artist, oh my God, he'd be buried with these idiots making videos on him nonstop.
Yep. Same thing I said when, they were talking about the new She-Ra. I'm like, if the original She-Ra came out today, all these channels would be claiming, well, it's just trying to steal from He-Man. It's trying to make a girl version. Bunch of stupid. Continuing.
The modern day comic book industry now.
Don't compare yourself to Moses. That man had more integrity than you ever will.
Not only beats you over the head with their message.
Every comic will beat you over the head with a message. That's what stories are for. They are for conveying.
Well, no,
values.
not necessarily. They will deliver a message, but they won't necessarily all beat you over the head with it. I think that's his point. Is that
also what's with this thing? Okay, so
it's like a little kid's collage that if a little kid made this, that's fine. That's cool.
Let's take a look.
If this guy made it,
let's take a look.
Anyways,
social justice being equal. Okay, is that a bad thing? Humanity being propped up, is that a bad thing? Multiple children of different colors holding hands, is that a bad thing? Is equality a bad thing? Are rights bad things?
Clearly the bad thing is the grandma in the middle over there.
Oh man,
lonely grandma.
Well, I mean, she's probably racist.
Probably.
She was probably the person who called Jack Kirby and said she was going to beat him up. Yes, hear me out. I'm well aware of what that manga creator did. I'm very well aware. And unfortunately, he's probably just going to get off with a fine because that's how
a slap on the wrist, yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Moving on.
They scream at you while they're doing it that you're problematic as you lay lifelessly on the ground.
Now, by the way, that page he just showed, that's what I'm talking about old comics doing as well. A lot of that was in the old comics, were just panels of text. And it's a struggle to slog through, but I love comics and I will, But if any modern artists or writers are doing the same thing, I mean, there's a time and a place for it, but if you're doing it like on every panel, you're probably shit at writing.
Also, if I'm not mistaken, I think the meme he's using currently is from a dude who went to a feminist rally and flashed them.
Yes.
Yeah, isn't he the hero? He totally has no reason to be shouted down or anything. I mean, he's innocent.
They're totally couldn't be kids in that crowd or anything.
I need to go ahead and address this. What is it with these idiots and co-opting evil? They dress like supervillains. They co-opt the name of villainous things, and they try to promote themselves as being in the right and good. If you go by the name Fandom Menace, why should anybody trust you? Literature devil? Stupid.
Yeah.
Hi, I go by the name The Devil. You should trust me. And every Christian within a 500-mile radius is like, I want to beat this man to death.
That's such a good plan. I mean, I know why, because it's their, like you said, you don't make fun of autistic people, so I'll refrain from it, but it's their inner child that never got to fulfill his fantasies, acting out, going like, God, this character looks so cool. That's me now. That's who I am. That's all it is.
I really hope this guy never tries to get into theology, especially not Christianity. Well, they just want to tell you you're bad.
He should go for Scientology. He'd fit right in.
Well, they want to tell you that you're bad, and so does every world religion, because humanity by nature is prone to evil. But continuing. Oh, don't you even. This is going to make me mad.
Make Kate Bishop gay, you coward.
An opinion piece by nobody that anybody cares about.
Well, before you play it, let's pay attention to this high quality comedic writing on his part. Go ahead, play the video.
Arcane's fandom is made by gays and for the gays.
Oh my God! You go girl!
V and Caitlin's queer romance has helped form a truly special fandom around Arcane because gay and straight people suck. Can I have more representation now, Bobby? Video.
Okay, stop it. So, was that funny, guys? Was that just a peak of humor? Mwah, just so funny. All you need is a little stupid zoom effect and go wookie goo wookie into the microphone, and that's it. You're a comedic genius in today's day and age to these people.
Well, again,
brilliant.
Like who cares about what opinion piece articles are written? Why does he care? Also, on top of that, it's like somebody took a bootleg Jobby the Hong and then bootlegged that about 4 or 5 times and you get ItsaGundam. Jobby's genuinely entertaining. He's got some problems. I worry about him sometimes, but Jabi, that's the guy from the clip earlier. He's actually funny, like legitimately funny.
Ayala, is that her name? Her X-Men comic run comes to mind. You have a bargain bin ripoff of established X-Men characters, Children of the Atom, where it's just basically
what are you
fan fiction.
It literally stop. It literally says in the title, Children of the Atom. That means that the main characters are probably going to be legacy characters because it says so in the fucking title. Now, obviously, you're going to go like, well, why can't we just have original characters that are meant for this? I'm going like, because it's written for fucking young audiences, probably young kids who will relate to teenagers just like themselves better.
Well, even if it's just an offshoot of a writer trying to be creative and seeing if something else works or just having fun with a concept, it's not like it's replacing the original in this case. It's not replacing its run. Why do you care? Look, do you have any idea how many versions of Batman are out there right now that I don't read because I don't freaking care?
Batman Who Laughs?
That just makes me angry. That's not even fair. You do me dirty like this on my own channel.
Yes. That's my job. Come on, it gave us the best owl moment though. Like surely that justifies its existence.
The best version of the Batman Who Laughs was in the Batman animated series when Joker ran around pretending to be Batman.
Oh, which one? No, you mean the Batman of 2004?
Yes, the Batman.
Yes, that was great. That's a great episode. I think that's the first time that idea was even presented, wasn't it?
I think so, but I'm not 100% sure. But again, this guy doesn't read comics. He doesn't care about them. So why do people listen to people who don't care about the things they write about?
Because they say things that support my own views, and I need validation from strangers on the internet, Leo. Come on.
I really don't care if Literature Devil is actually your friend. I mean, we're not really friends, but sure.
You're gonna have sidekicks, and some of them are gay or something, and they're like TikTokers and all this other crap. It's like the most garbage thing ever.
Oh my God. A modern day comic incorporating modern day things that people use and partake in every day. Old comics never did something like that. It's not like Peter Parker was working for a newspaper publishing company. You know, people didn't read newspapers back then. What is this point?
If you guys want to stop being called racist, stop throwing fits over black characters and stop pointing them out as though they're the problem.
Yeah, point them out at the script if the script sucks, not the fact that the character is black.
Well, that takes actual knowledge of how to review something, Jace. We can't do that here.
No.
You also have the X-Men that are eco-terrorists. I saw one clip where I guess the bags were left in the ocean and I think a dolphin died. So then some mutants went to a store and just killed the guy randomly.
He didn't
want to read that.
He didn't even read it.
He didn't, but I legitimately want to read that. I love when villains kill people for petty, stupid things. That's maybe not the best type of writing, but that's my favorite type of villain. If they go, you dumped the bag in the ocean, I'm gonna stab you now, motherfucker. That's brilliant. That villain's a badass.
Also, if he's fussing about X-Men characters or characters from that comic being evil, the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants, you dumb mutant.
Or Mr. Sinister. You know, Mr. Sinister, who partook in actual genetic experiments on living people and stuff. Yeah, no, eco-terrorist mutants.
Speaking of petty villains, I can't remember who it was, or what the exact storyline was, but somebody had brought Zod out of the Phantom Zone, and he winds up tearing apart the building, and he runs into the bar. He's like, "You, what are you? I'm a graphic designer. I will destroy all graphic designers."
I love that. It's
great.
I love the M. Bison type of villain where it's you killed my father. I killed my father too. You don't see me crying about it.
You killed my father. Yeah. You're gonna have to be more specific. Do you have any idea how little that narrows it down?
I love Superman protesting global warming. The one dude who could do something about global warming would rather protest with his Asian boyfriend.
Nobody cares if there's a gay Aquaman. A lot of people thought Aquaman was gay anyway, so who cares?
Wait, are you on the gay Aquaman part?
Oh,
he's. I'm reading the. I'm reading the text now. I was gonna
go ahead.
Go ahead. Okay, I was gonna say that his issue is that Superman can do something about it. Yes, but I think this is not actually Superman. I'm assuming that's his son, right?
It's his son, yeah.
Yeah, so I can easily make this moment into a well-written moment where maybe Superman's son, whatever his name is, wants humanity to learn a lesson, and as a way to boost this message, he protests alongside the protesters or whatever, so that humans can fix their own shit instead of him always doing the job for them. There you go. I just give you a legitimate reason as to why he's out there protesting alongside of them.
Well, that and all the things that Superman's covered as a whole, like there's an entire issue where Superman deals with a dude whose dad is abusive.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't that a little petty for Superman to deal with? I keep hearing that argument from several other people. That's a little bit below what Superman would cover. There's nothing below something that Superman would cover. That's the point of the character.
Yeah, that's absolutely. He's the perfect immigrant. That's my favorite. God damn it, that's my favorite way of describing Superman. I don't know why.
Yeah, too bad it came from Death Battle. Continuing.
Sounds like a gay thing to do to me. So basically, it is on brand. Wait a minute. There's no plan B. This proves the guy who's writing Superman right now doesn't pay attention to continuity. I guess he's never heard of Crisis.
Yes, because that random child there would hear about Crisis on Infinite Earths within that universe. Yes, absolutely.
Also,
there's a lot of assumptions.
It's
such a stupid point.
Breaking it down to a smaller microcosm. Hey, it's a Gundam. You probably live in like a small apartment. But if you lived in a house, are you going to destroy and burn your own house because there is another house you can buy? No, stupid. You're going to try to fix the one you're in, you mentally stunted malcontent.
This guy, he probably let it rot away, and just settle for a cardboard box living in the street.
Probably a bunch of own a whole packages all over the place while he cries about how women hate him. Moving on.
It's on Infinite Earths. Flashpoint. There's only one.
Flashpoint's not a different Earth. Flashpoint's a different timeline. You don't read comics. Please stop talking like you do. You don't know dick. I don't know who passed you this information, but somebody should hit them out back and beat them.
There's no plan B. You know there's Infinite Earths. No plan B. And gay Aquaman.
Also, it's Planet B. Stupid.
Yeah, I'm thinking. I thought I was mishearing it, or maybe it's just his way of pronouncing it. But that says Planet B, not Plan B.
I wish his mom had taken a Plan B.
Around like that escaped me until I looked again. I'm like, God, everybody's gay.
And
isn't that Aquaman's son anyway, or successor at least?
I believe so. But at the same time,
who cares?
And so who cares?
Who gave a shit about Aquaman until Aquaman appeared in Brave and the Bold? Honestly, really?
Best version of Aquaman. Best version.
Yeah, I tend to agree. Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know. I'm just saying, judging from reality, the active gay community that's on Twitter isn't super. It's just super obnoxious.
Just like you are. You're just as you are far more obnoxious than they are. I mean, I'm sure they're pretty obnoxious, but you are just as obnoxious. You are doing exactly the same thing they are. You are you're grifting on a movement. You're grifting along the things that you actually don't like. You are conning your dumb audiences, thank you, out of their money for useless shit that has no effort put into it. You're exactly the same. And that's the funniest part.
Well, again, any form of... If you put X Twitter, it's going to be annoying. Anime Twitter, obnoxious. Cartoon Twitter, oh my god, I wish I could get into a ring and beat all of them. Like, there's no part of Twitter that isn't obnoxious. That's how Twitter works. Because people suck. Continuing.
On the internet, people suck.
So if you count being obnoxious as superpower, then yeah, I guess it makes sense.
If obnoxious,
I guess you're the Superman of obnoxiousness.
No, he's not even the Superman. He's like the Dr. Manhattan of obnoxiousness.
Uh-oh, he's a bigot. Oh.
Well, I mean, if you don't want to be called a clown, don't put on the big floppy shoes, don't put on the red nose, don't put on the makeup or the wig. So if you don't want to be called a bigot, don't act like one, and don't make the argument bigots would make.
Ayala. I can't even say her last.
Ayala. Black and brown people, queer people, people that are not cis dudes, and any combo of the above. If you are even a little curious about being an associate editor for Marvel, click through. Apply. You are needed. Okay. And
is she the hiring president of Marvel? Is she responsible for the for hiring people in Marvel or something? Like, I don't.
Probably not, because the person that she's quote tweeting is promoting the job. So it's a person, an individual that is not representing the company, saying, hey, I think you guys would do well in this field. Please go apply. Big whoop.
It's quota hiring, Leo. What are you talking about?
Even though it's not the company doing it. Fantastic.
But Vita Ayala also did like Nubia and the Amazons.
And
so she
who gives a shit? Who gives a shit? She can fucking like eating doo-doo off the street. I don't care.
Okay, so let me go ahead and walk back there. Apparently she does work, so that's my bad. I don't read Nubia because it doesn't appeal to me. More importantly, have you read Nubia, ItsaGundam? Because I bet you haven't. I bet you just rely on the opinions of other people that are within your camp that you think are smart. And the problem is, anybody you think is smart, I can guarantee is an idiot.
I wouldn't even go that far. I don't think he relies on the opinion of others. I think he just looks at the cover and goes like, oh, black woman. And just instantly, wah! So.
Can you imagine people doing this to Power Man?
That would be very funny.
Where's my money, honey?
It basically retcons the whole Amazon island in DC Comics because Nubia is trans. And it's like...
Not a retcon. Oh, no. Those never happen. Especially not in a DC comic.
Oh, I was about to say the reason I dropped DC was because of the nonstop retcons. They couldn't fucking help themselves from retcons. Jesus Christ. The fact that he's complaining about it only now, when a black trans whatever this character is concerned, all of a sudden, retcons are bad. No. It's not like the Amazons have been retconned since forever.
I don't think Nubia is the trans one.
Oh, okay. I just heard him say trans and assumed that he was talking about this character.
Let's see here. Want to double check here.
You're trying to check if
I want to see if that's accurate.
While you're doing that, I'm going to take a look at the chat.
Okay, it's a character named Bia. Okay. It's not Nubia that's trans. It took me 10 seconds. Go ahead.
But the aliens have been retconned like 8 times, Mijumaru fan says. Is the reason why people thought Aquaman was gay just because he's a man who loves swimming in the sea? In other words, he's jolly seaman? Okay. Oh, great. The anti-HW Gundam cringe lord is back. He's always cringy after Pokimane. I'm actually not that familiar with Pokimane. I heard about Pokimane, but I'm not that familiar with that person.
Yeah, I'm not familiar either. Megatron, I didn't like Revelation, and I'm hoping to do a video of that pretty soon. I've just been busy with work, which is what always drags me down. But let's go ahead and continue.
You know, no man can set foot on Themyscira, and even if you look at the... We're not going too far into this, because in one version...
No man can set foot on Themyscira, except for all the times men have set foot on Themyscira.
Hey, remember that time the Joker snuck into Themyscira and Brave and the Bold to knock out all the Amazons?
You remember the
time as a woman?
Remember the time when the Justice League showed up? Wait, which time? Oh, there was a time recently where relatively recently, where the Justice League had to go to Hades because the Spectre's host was hiding there. Men.
What a great hiding spot, actually. Brilliant.
Well, I mean, the Bible does say... The Bible does...
Yeah.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I was going to say, the Spectre is a champion of hide and seek as far as I'm concerned.
Well, the thing is, the Spectre was kind of running wild and trying to get people to go grab him and pull him out. But, I mean, the Bible does say, even if you make your bed in hell, the Lord will know you're there. So, good job there, buddy. That was smart. Moving on.
Of, like, Themyscira. Themysciran women go to the world of man and bring back orphan children that are girls, I think women sometimes. And in a more recent change, a couple years back, in the reimagining, like, if you died in our world and you're a woman, you'd be reborn on Themyscira through some magic wishing well. So, like, How this one comes out trans is beyond me.
It's called fiction. I mean, I'm sorry you don't understand what that means. Nobody cares.
It's not even. It's just like, does anybody really care about the inner workings of Themyscira? Like,
dude, it's the internet. You know somebody does.
True, but at the same time, they're dumb and they need to stop it.
I agree. I just noticed the doggone anonymous mask on the bottom right-hand corner.
Anonymous.
Let's continue.
All of you.
Daddy, chill.
What the hell is even that?
Oh no, making fun of trans people. Aren't we clever and edgy? Look, son, if you want to be edgy, that's fine, but try not to be a pizza cutter. All edge and no point. And if you're going to use it, make sure it's down the road, not across the street.
Not even just that. Like, if you're, like, unironically, if you're going to be edgy, commit to the role.
Own it.
If you're going to be, yeah, commit to the role and don't complain whenever people call you racist or some other word, you know? Don't be a pussy.
Dear ladies and gentlemen, we come to the part of the program which is always my favorite because it means something.
This video is sponsored by Keeps because YouTube hates me. And now life is. This isn't reassuring. With Keeps, a licensed hair loss treatment.
Thank you. There we go. Great soundtrack. That soundtrack is boss.
Too bad it's wasted on this idiot.
Oh yeah. Oh my god. Just get to it. I get it. Manga is cooler. Just fucking get to it.
Vagabond's only been on hiatus for a decade.
Now let's talk about manga on the other hand.
Oh, by all means. Let's hear it.
Manga kicks your ass with characters and story developments that not only just envelop you.
Which one? Which one? Naruto?
Which stories? Which stories? I want to know.
Believe me. But believe it. I'll be the Hokage.
Will he cite any stories or tale that inspires him? Let's find out.
Grab you and pull you into the world. They touch you. They reach you.
No, don't touch me.
They resonate
I've seen enough questionable animes that I do not want them anywhere near touching me or grabbing me, any part of me. Okay.
Also, his argument is, well, obviously the manga doesn't, the comic doesn't. Have you read All-Star Superman? Doggone idiot.
Have you read Hitman?
Oh, Hitman's great.
Oh yeah.
With you. Where's the comic books? I don't know. As of late, it just felt like the past 4 or 5 years of comic books have been telling me I'm an asshole.
Because you are one. That's why.
True.
Manga's not telling you you're good either. I mean, if you've read Berserk, you know full well humans are terrible. You're stupid. Look.
But my point is that, like, I hate this notion that for the past 4 or 5 years, there have been no good comic books. Have you been looking at all? Like, and where have you been looking, if that's the case? There is a plethora of comic books, both from DC and Marvel, and all the indie companies like Image and Dark Horse and etc. All of them have a plethora of comics for you to check out and enjoy that would absolutely fit this retard's taste. Absolutely. It's just that, you know, it's not friendly to the narrative. I can quote off the top of my head like 10 good comics in the modern day and age, but, you know.
Well, he doesn't even look outside of that. I mean, Usagi Yojimbo has been consistently fantastic for almost 40 years now. Also, real quick, is it yet another isekai manga about sleeping with your little sister? I mean, with this guy, probably.
And frankly, I'm a little tired. A perfect example. Do you remember Kelly Sue DeConnick?
Oh, boy.
No.
Of course you do if you're into comic books. Because
you don't know about her because you love comics. You know about her because your little moron troop of people decided to try to dunk on her because she said things that upset you. Well, let's continue.
You had that classic line back when coronavirus wasn't a thing and the comic book industry could still live on life support. And she popped up as smug as you want to be. You know, I haven't seen a smug look like that since Amaranth laying on a banana collecting money for breathing oxygen.
Have you tried looking in the mirror every time you try to do your own takes? Pretty sure you'd find a pretty smug look. It's undeserved, absolutely, but it's there. This dude's trying to do the Family Guy humor and he sucks at it. Then again, so does Family Guy.
Why would you do Family Guy humor? That sucks in general. That's like the peak of shit taste.
But let's see what he says.
What a content creator. Anyway, Kelly Sue looks at you in the camera like the Godfather.
Oh my God, just play the clip.
And if you don't like my politics, don't buy my book.
And I'm going to say that, fair enough. Like, she didn't say anything controversial. She didn't say anything that was outrageous.
Nope.
I don't know what she did that made these people dog her that much. Maybe the color of her hair is a bit wrong for their tastes or whatever. But I'm like, what's wrong with what she just said here? You don't like my comic? Don't buy it.
It offended him about a comic he doesn't read anyways. But let's see where he shoots himself in the foot.
Oh, the arrogance.
Oh, guess what? People aren't.
It's almost like they had trouble due to COVID.
It's almost like so many retailers were closed during a unprecedented and unforeseen pandemic.
Also, I'm curious. Let me go ahead and look this up.
Are you trying to find these articles that
I want to know who's writing them because I have a suspicion.
You go do that. Why are you using Puppet Phil?
It's Cosmic.
You do not deserve.
He's using Cosmic Book News.
I'm not familiar with them. Is there what's up?
They're not the most credible people on the planet. Let's just say that.
Okay, well, fair enough. I'll take your word for it. But here's the thing. He's saying that comic books are, and we said that during pandemic. Yes. Guess what? Guess what, Leo? Guess what? The year 2020, right? The like 2 years ago, was arguably one of the most profitable years for comics in history overall. It almost broke the record for how many comics and graphic novels and etc. were sold in 2020, compared to how as well as they did. When was this? Let me take a look. See here, I have a graph on me.
Also, real quick, I want to share this. If you want
1997.
If you want to know what type of nonsense Cosmic Book News has, their head articles right now are "Fans were a joke," "Woke Superman," "Death of the Justice League," Geoff Jones back at DC Comics with Flashpoint Beyond, and Marvel changes Punisher into a vagina.
It's like, wow, it's wow. That's totally not a biased website at all.
Yeah, this is essentially a Comicsgate adjacent website, and I'm not interested in their takes. Like, trying to put them up as though they're factual about anything is pretty goofy.
If you want actual number crunches, right, go visit. First, I'll recommend Screen Rant. I don't know Screen Rant. They're fairly a website that covers everything, I'm assuming, so I don't know how credible they are, but they do cite their research. What I just said, 2021, sorry, not 2020, 2021 was one of the most profitable years for comic books, in history. And they cite Comicron, a website that specifically specializes in taking a look at how comic book sales are doing. And they factor in everything: graphic novels, individual comics, old comics, etc., etc. So, look for sources like that. Do not look for stupid fucking bullshit that this guy is citing, because clearly he's citing some biased shit. So yeah, carry on.
All right, hitting play.
Now, you flash forward to recent times, and there's a video of her floating around talking about how she's worried about the comic book industry. Well, you wouldn't have to be worried if you didn't piss on everyone's face.
Tend to be pretty optimistic, but in this one, I'm worried. I'm straight worried.
Why?
Because stores are closing at a phenomenal rate. Independent comic sales are down. Mainstream comic sales are down, except for the top 3 or 5 books are up, and everything in the mid list is way down. Numbers that used to be numbers that would get you canceled are now like, no, that's a hit. Independent books making back the cost of doing floppies is like names that should be able to do it no sweat are going into the red on singles and not coming out until the trades.
It's a pretty simple.
I love that he completely took that out of context because, well, one of the things that, pay attention to the year that he cited on this video. What was it, 2019 to 2020, right?
Yep.
What was happening back then, in 2019 to 2020?
I don't know.
What was the big...
Yeah, go ahead. Some really weird virus thing that put a lot of people in home?
Yeah, I don't know. Like, closed a lot of businesses and stuff like that. There's a lot of that going on at the time. It's kind of weird. And guess what? One of the things that the research that I was looking into, let me try and find it here. I can't seem to... Is this it? No, this is not it. One research I found in the article said that, I think maybe this is the one I'm looking at from Screen Rant, but basically I remember reading, they said that even for 2020, where the numbers were not announced on Comic-Con, speaking in general terms, comics reportedly did fairly well despite the pandemic. Like, the businesses didn't, like, they took a hit, but it wasn't as big of a hit as they were expecting to take with the pandemic that was going on at the time. So even in face of, a virus that locked everybody down for good for like 2 years, comics still managed to somehow not just die, but even continue to thrive. So I don't know what he's talking about. And he's definitely not citing anything.
He's trying to pass on to his audience that correlation equals causation. She said mean thing I not like. Now comic sale down. Clearly it's because she said mean thing I not like. Because his audience is just as dumb as he is.
Right. Carry on.
Well, hold on.
Oh,
no, Jack, we will not say that you should change this name to It's a Clown Man, because Clown Man is peak fiction.
Oh,
Clown Man is legendary. But we'll talk about
We're not talking about that.
We'll talk about him
later.
It's
a gift. Thing. You're doing business. Could you imagine going to deli, getting a sandwich at Nunzio's, and then Nunzio spits in your face?
If I do something to insult Nunzio, yeah, probably. Which, again, half of you morons turn around and you make fun of or you insult these people, and then you try to play victim whenever somebody calls you on it or when they bite back. I had one idiot a while ago tweeting at DC about the Doomsday Clock artist. He's like, "Oh, do you let this person treat the customers like this?" Because he was blocked. And I said, "Why did they block you?" He said, "Well, I just asked a question about the comic." What I did was I went onto the profile and I found his comment. The guy was complaining about something Trump related. And he said, your Doomsday Clock is X time behind. You should be doing that right now. And I said, yeah, you just lied to everybody here. Do I explain you a reason why? Well, I just don't think that they should be criticizing my president instead of drawing comics. Like, yeah, you're just a liar.
Well, it's not even just that. I like it more. Remember what was his name? Richard Spencer? The guy that got punched?
Yeah.
The Nazi or whatever?
Yeah.
Right? Was that... Yeah, okay. I miss the days when it was socially acceptable to get decked in the face for saying dumb shit in public. Like, I don't know what happened to today's men that are on the right, but apparently, remember when that happened? They all fucking cried on the internet. Oh my god, that's so illegal! And wah, 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 wah. I'm going like, wow, it's almost as if you get decked in the face for saying dumb shit in public. I mean, what? Like, apparently now it's a crime. Like, Nunzio spits in your face or something like that. I mean, if you deserve it, he probably would spit in your face.
Hopefully so.
I now the chat is confused about Clown Man. See what you've done. What you've done.
I'll go ahead and just give him a little teaser. Clown Man is one of the best indie comics ever made, and we will talk about him in the future, but not today. That is a treat. That's a treat. Continue.
Exactly.
Then nobody
I thought it was you clapping for a second.
Because he's spitting in people's face. And then as they're taking away his business, he's like, I'm worried about how I'm going to make a living. From don't buy my book to I'm worried how the mighty have fallen.
Correlation does not equal causation. You're being willfully dishonest and you know it.
How are those two things even connected?
They're not. He's just happy with lying to his audience. People like him always are. Because he doesn't care. Because he doesn't care about comics. And he doesn't care about the people who are his fans.
See, this is what interests... Like, these people are boring as shit. because you go on their channel and it's literally the same point over and over and over and over again, right? But there is one thing that really does interest me about these types of people. You know what it is?
What's that?
I am genuinely curious whether they believe the bullshit that they spew, or if they're actually lying to their audiences to get money out of them. I am legitimately curious which one it is. You know, because it could be either one. It could be either one or both at the same time.
No clue, but they're stupid either way. Continuing. Gay is a new trend.
I don't get it.
Real quick, using Berserk for the transition here is stupid, because the entire reason why Kentaro Miura wrote Berserk the way he did back in the 80s is because hyper-masculine violent men were the in thing.
Right. Did you almost say Budzerk there for a second?
No, I was about to say Guts.
The next example is DC pandering like never before. In the 90s, comic book characters were killed for cheap sales. You know, Batman was crippled, Superman's dead. He even got a theme song by Our Lady Peace. But in the 2020s, instead of like characters dying, they just come out of the closet.
That's all right, Gundam. When you do, we'll be here to support you.
I hope he dies instead of becomes gay. To be honest,
I won't go that far. I won't go that far.
I'm not hoping for it, but out of the two, well, let's just say one of them would, you know, I wouldn't have to endure one of his videos.
I'd rather him just go to church. Moving on.
Well, yes. You're gay now. That's how it works, Mary. It's kind of like Teen Wolf, only you're slowly going to turn into Rip Taylor.
It seems to me like a lot of the clips he uses are people that are actually funny.
Yeah, funnier than him.
I mean, that's a pretty low bar. That thing's rusted and in the ground.
So, I guess I'll see you at Pride, homo.
Like, I was reading one article where Tim Drake
Is it the same? It's the same website. I believe it's the same website.
It is.
I can tell just by the way it's formatted that it's the same fucking website. He's quoted the same website this entire time. What an unbiased opinion this guy has, huh?
But the other articles he quoted that were not his opinion, them bad.
Gotham and being Robin? What? I was like, what? I don't understand.
It's because you don't read comics.
I'd really love to kiss a guy, but damn it, the Joker keeps...
What is that panel saw? Sorry, I was hoping you would. Tim Drake, do you want to go on a date with me? Yeah, I think I want that. Okay. Well, okay, so first off, we've established that website is biased, right?
Heavily.
So the whole point, the whole thing that they put in the title that Robin turned gay because Gotham's criminals wouldn't let him somehow, that could be most likely complete and utter bullshit. So we don't actually know, and I'm sure he actually doesn't know why all of a sudden, you know, Tim Drake this is, I'm assuming, right?
Tim Drake, the best Robin, and I will fight anybody on that.
Right. Tim Drake is gay. Fine. I'm fine with that as long as the story behind it is you know, interesting. I'm cool with that. I don't care.
I think when I was talking to Kiera about this, I'm like, well, apparently Tim Drake's come out as bi. I think his response was good for him.
Yeah, exactly. What does that take away from the character somehow? I don't understand. Does that take away from the history of the character? I don't get it.
People are mad about this ever since Iceman came out as gay, and I'm like, if any character's going to be gay, that's perfect, because you can make him like the sassy gay guy.
Yeah.
Like, he could be the Ice King, and it'd be perfect. It'd be perfect. Continuing.
Escaping Arkham Asylum. It wasn't enough to take the original Superman, have him go off to space to go fight some other crap, and like his son inherits being Superman.
Superman goes off into space and fights other crap on a regular basis. You don't read comics.
No.
But then they also made him bisexual, but honestly, bi in a comic book is pretty much gay in this day and age.
Why do you care?
And then he's gonna complain about, well, but why are they calling me homophobic? I don't get it.
I exclusively complain about colored people and gay people, but I don't know why people keep calling me homophobic and racist. It's a mystery.
It's so hilarious.
Case in point, Harley Quinn, who was originally a cartoon character made for the Batman animated series of the 90s, but was so beloved by the fan base, she actually became DC canon.
Real quick, where are we now? I thought we were talking about manga now. We're still on comics? I'm lost.
Yeah, apparently we're still on comics. But if this dude's mad about gay people in comics, oh man, he sure does not read manga. Whoo, boy, he doesn't read manga.
Didn't Comic Tropes just recently make a video about like literally manga that was like there's a subgenre of manga that is specifically dedicated to effeminate guys and
yaoi.
Is about gay relationships?
Yaoi.
What was it?
Yaoi.
No, it's called shoujo manga or whatever.
Oh no, shoujo's like for girls, but it's not about gay people. It just has a lot of them.
Okay, I see.
It just has a lot of them. All right.
Oh, okay.
Continuing.
And for the longest time, pretty much the character's whole inception revolved around being in love with the Joker. And now Harley Quinn, I think, is bi.
Because Joker was a sadistic, psychotic, abusive partner, and people wanted to grow her character, so they expounded beyond. She's Harley Quinn. She really likes Joker. That's it. That's the whole character.
She likes getting her ass beat every time. Like...
Could be gay. What the hell's that chick's name? I was about to say Red Sonja. Stu, who is that?
Can you imagine saying you like comics and not knowing who Poison Ivy is?
Poison Ivy! One of the most, like, A-list, maybe B-list Batman characters out there. Who's that? Who's that? Who is that?
Who's that? Is that Red Sonja?
Red Sonja?
Poison Ivy? Oh, yeah. Wait, when was Poison Ivy gay? And then you find out that now the friendship that her and Poison Ivy had.
My question is, when wasn't she gay? I legitimately, actually.
Well, the thing is, Bruce Timm used to draw like ship art of these two all the time, so.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. I grew up with like the Batman the Animated Series versions of the characters when I was a kid, and obviously at the time I didn't know what what a lesbian is, what a gay guy is, right? So I just thought they were really close friends. But as I grew, the narrative of them being potentially in a relationship was always present. It was never really like put in the open or whatever. But was always that underlying theme with those two characters. So what?
Kecker's boy says, so shoujo is just flooded with gay people and young middle school girls being in a relationship with high school boys. Oh, we're not going to talk about that today.
Yeah, where their best friends now makes them gay and they're getting married.
They made a joke about it back in the freaking 90s in the Batman Adventures comics, and you're offended over it now.
Mm-hmm.
Because today's standards, if two women are friends, then everybody wants them to be lesbian lovers.
Well, I mean, maybe on Twitter. That might be true.
Okay, I'll give you an example off the top of my head. Renee Montoya and Huntress. They're friends. They're just friends. Renee Montoya is lesbian, but she has the hots for Batwoman, not Huntress, and they're just friends.
Well, I mean,
there you go.
You can't blame her.
No, not really. I did fucking give all three to me. I don't mind.
Because everything's weird now. It makes absolutely no sense. Nobody can have a platonic relationship.
Nobody? So Commissioner Gordon and Batman are banging now?
Yes.
Please, no.
God.
And none of you freaking draw that. I know what my chat's like. You stop. You stop right now.
All right, chat. You know what to draw. Batman putting a big sloppy kiss on Commissioner Gordon.
Harvey Bullock and Commissioner Gordon apparently ship up on that. This dude has no idea what he's talking about. None. Continuing.
Anymore. You're either gay or you're not.
We'll get to it, buddy.
And you don't matter unless you're gay. Let's not forget the stories that were making the rounds right after the Superman character came out as gay. Of course, Pink News picked up on it on November 2nd and ran with it. Bisexual Superman comic artist given police protection after hateful backlash and death threats. All right.
It's the same comic website again.
Well, that
literally.
Let me double check.
Well, you're going to try to find a specific article?
Yes, I want to make sure we're accurate here if we can be. Should take a moment.
I'm betting. I'll bet, I don't know. What do I have here?
Nope, it's on Pink News, like he said.
Oh, okay. My bad. I lose my bet. I
want to really quick speed read this.
Okay.
Speed read this article.
Well, while you're doing...
The creators of Superman, son of Kal-El, in which the new Superman comes out as bisexual, have reportedly been given police protection after receiving death threats. Last month, DC revealed that John Kent, the Superman of Earth and son of Clark Kent and Lois Lane, is bisexual. The younger Kent is a different kind of Superman to his father. He combats climate change, protests against the deportation of refugees. Well, Superman's always done that. It is in a relationship with a man. This announcement was largely met with celebration from fans. So, people to read comics, and DC Comics received an unprecedented number of orders for the issue. But there was, of course, some anti-LGBT backlash. According to TMZ, which is another article, police officers were dispatched to the homes of artists that worked on the comic to protect them after they received death threats over Ken's sexuality. Now, what he's going to do here is going to try to post this as some sort of gotcha for gay people when it's TMZ that reported it.
What? TMZ not being a reputable news source? What are you on about?
And the TMZ article says, our sources say the studio called LAPD requesting for patrols to keep an eye out both on the private residences of some artists and the studio itself. While nothing legitimate came from the threats, our sources say cops still patrolled out of an abundance of caution, and the situation has since settled down. Now let's see what Mushmouth here says about it, shall we?
Okay.
Already, you could tell that makes absolutely no sense. You're telling me that the artist of Superman needs a police escort everywhere he goes?
Nobody was escorted.
Well, that and somebody's never been to conventions where people have actually been attacked. We had a dude try to kill Jason David Frank a few years ago.
Don't remind me. Don't remind me that retard was wearing the Punisher skull trying to kill the Green Ranger for some asinine reason.
So yeah, I hate to tell you this, It's a Gundam. I know you live in probably some super suburban neighborhood where stuff doesn't go down, but reality is very violent, and I think you should go live in it more.
In LA? That's weird. What no one bothered to check was the fact that the dude who is behind the bisexual Superman arc, by the way, the writing for it is actually terrible if you bothered to look into it. He lives in Australia, not LA.
Okay, so it said artist. And you just said writer, so.
Of course, outlets ran with the story because today's LGBTQ makes everything their Stonewall.
Or they were reporting based on a TMZ article, which is what you should be attacking, but you're stupid, so you're not attacking that.
You misgendered me. This is an act of hate. Words are violent.
That's talking about Canada's ruling. You're an idiot.
Canada!
No, it's not. Violence is violence.
And you should experience more of it, because clearly you've never been punched in the mouth before, and you could use it.
No. You're wrong. You're wrong. He talks about this later. I remember that. Let's keep going.
I know what violence is.
There we go.
I was beaten up routinely and called a homosexual. I've been a victim of more gang hate crimes than most gay people today in America.
No wonder you hate gay people. No wonder.
If there weren't gay people, I wouldn't be bullied because I'm a pussy you can't fight.
Exactly. That's literally what it is. It's just I got beaten up because.
And don't worry, chat. We're gonna be tearing apart his entire argument here because again, he says it here. Explain in autistic detail. I've yet to see any detail, autistic or otherwise.
And it's a damn shame how the gay community treats me. I mean, the long and the short of it is, words aren't violence. You can't get a concussion from someone not thinking you're pretty enough to be a woman.
I don't know. I'm feeling like a concussion listening to your mushmouth go on here.
Well, I was going to say, if you can't get any of those things, then why are you bitching about people calling you racist or homophobic so much?
Lol.
And that's a fact. But let's face it, science only matters when it comes to them demanding you get your shit. And I got to edit that out. On November 4th, literally 2 days after most major outlets ran with the story that the writers of Superman, the bisexual tales, needed to be escorted by the police weren't true.
It never said writer, said artist.
Now this shocks me.
Nobody really cares.
This does shock me, Phil.
Outrage is far better for clicks
How does he keep surviving?
and interaction.
What did you say?
How does Phil keep surviving?
How does Phil keep surviving? That's to put that man in a fucking forest with nothing, and he'll come out on top somehow. I don't know how he'll do it.
Like the Lord's going to return. It's going to be Judgment Day, the White Throne Judgment, New Earth. And somehow, outside of New Jerusalem, is going to be Darkside Phil still streaming. Somehow completely looked over for the White Throne Judgment. That's
still complaining about glitchy games and I'm pressing buttons. Oh my god.
All right, let's
keep going.
Now let's read the article. No DC police calls over bisexual Superman death threats. A couple days ago, TMZ reported under the headline Superman bisexual backlash spurs LAPD protection for artists studio that the LAPD officers recently dispatched to patrol the homes of some of the illustrators, production staff who created the latest iteration of Superman. The extra fiction comes in a major backlash, including blah, blah, blah. The backlash was, we were like, oh, what, really? Okay, fine, screw it. We don't care. Eat a dick. And then they were like, yes, actually, I like it. And I probably can't even do that voice. Bleeding Cool checked with our own sources and found that, if true, none of the DC Comics people involved with the production of the comic Gay Superman, even though it's not the title, but we gotta make it straight here, seemed aware of it. That's interesting. You were under death threats and the police were protecting you and you had no idea. Were they pulled out?
Well, why are you attacking the people that are clearly just as surprised about the fact that they apparently had death threats sent to them and were protected by the police when they're not the ones who reported about it, you idiot?
Because it's not owning the libs if he doesn't.
Exactly. The logic here is astoundingly stupid. Astoundingly stupid, and I don't... people like this con people out of money somehow.
Stupid saying.
Fuck, I can be a millionaire today.
Continuing.
Out of the Matrix? And there was no sign of LAPD being called to keep an eye out over the creators or staff. Indeed, the writers of the comic book in question...
Okay, then make fun of TMZ like a sensible human being.
...lives in Australia and the artist in Costa Rica.
Oh, my.
Okay. I hate this. I have to do more fact-checking than a real journalist. And I get no...
TMZ. TMZ, the real journalist.
He talks about fact-checking. He doesn't do it to his own work. Isn't that fascinating?
Respect. What am I doing? God, I wish I could be like Dream and just play a game and everybody just shows up and loves me.
Yes, I'm sure you'd love to be like Dream and get called a pedophile every other day.
Instead of me looking at like cancer culture. The long and the short of it is, comic book fans don't care enough about Gay Superman.
He completely
sales.
He completely,
I don't know about.
He completely missed the fact that it said it was one of the highest paid books, and that fans were extremely supportive of it. The very article he was trying to dunk on from Pink News says that. Real quick, Almighty Pixel, thank you for fighting on our super chat. Fighting a good fight. I'm constantly fighting against morons.
Yeah, it's like, and again, I don't know about specifically the figures for this comic, but like I said, comic book sales have been nothing but thriving since 2020. So there's clearly somebody interested in these types of books because some of them, I bet, are being bought. So I don't know what he's on about.
Stupidity. Continuing, because we're almost done.
They think he's just another lame gimmick, and they're right.
Who's they? Your crew? Because your crew doesn't read comics, so nobody should care.
Collectors will buy the comics and then resell them for the inevitable future retconning of this storyline.
No, they won't. Because we learned about not doing that in the 90s. Also, he still hasn't talked about manga.
Line and arc. But seriously, it's probably the only interest one would have. That would probably be the only reason why I consider buying it. Buy the comic book, wait like 5 or 10 years when all of this like super progressive wokeism finally runs out of steam, and everybody's like, wow, that was a really annoying phase. You know, like everybody running around in the 90s wearing those giant clown pants.
By the way, real quick, I actually read the Spider-Woman comic that he's flashing on the screen, right? To him, it's like, oh my god, a pregnant woman is how? What? How does that make sense? I actually read it. It actually wasn't that bad. It actually, in a lot of its action scenes, it actually made a lot of sense. So, you know, yet another. But I mean, I guess he'd call me an SJW. So, you know, what do I know?
Calling you an SJW is absolutely.
Yeah, imagine me an SJW. Wow, well, that would be a first.
The comic book industry has been nothing but disappointing for the better part of 5 or more years.
Did you see this panel before? Real quick, sorry, I keep interrupting you. You know what this is? You know what this is about?
Isn't it quoting Jordan Peterson?
Yeah, God, there's literally Jordan Peterson in this book. I find it hilarious.
Years at the very least, to the point of where even I have no interest in modern releases. I don't care if they stop printing comics one bit.
Cool.
I just don't care.
I don't care about you.
Most comic book collectors, longtime fans, men who have spent decades collecting and paying attention and supporting the medium, probably now think, you know what? If it dies, it dies.
Yes, hello. I am one of those people right here. I've been collecting comics and still am for decades now. Hello. And I'm here. I'm paying attention. And I'm quite frankly quite annoyed with retards like you claiming that you are fans when you are clearly not. Can you please fuck off to your manga and stop talking about comics if you don't care about them anymore?
Oh,
thank you.
We're going to get into that here shortly. Let's continue.
Fall turned into Drago from Rocky, whichever one. when like Apollo Creed's laid out on the floor and they're like, what do you think of the comic book industry, Drago?
Yeah, one book that had bad art. Real good point there, stupid.
If he dies, he dies.
No, don't do my boy Dolph Lundgren dirty like that. He doesn't deserve to be in this video. He deserves better. Yeah.
The comic book industry is like an ex-girlfriend that you love, but she went out of her way to be absolutely terrible to you years after breaking up with you.
You speaking?
Then out of nowhere, she calls you from jail, telling you that she...
What'd you say? Sorry,
Is he speaking from experience here?
Well, we know his experience. It wasn't really the colorful one, and he's really angry about that.
She needs
to
help.
this day.
And all I can think is, you wasted your one call, girl. Manga, on the other hand, never disappoints me.
Then you don't read manga.
Yo, let's take a look at the. When was the fucking transition into talking about manga? It was somewhere around like I don't know.
About 5 minutes ago.
Yeah, 5 minutes ago, and then like it's how many minutes have left? 4 minutes in this video, maybe less, including the outro.
A little less than 4. Yeah.
We're only now getting to manga. I wonder how many autistic details he's gonna talk about in like 3 minutes. Maybe he'll surprise me. Let's take a look.
The only time I've been disappointed by manga in recent memory, and this is going across years, was the day Kentaro Miura died. That was the one time I felt dread, misery, and distress over something I took interest in that was in the comic or manga medium.
Yeah, and you'll never address the actual internal issues with manga, you know, having people literally work themselves to death, or the grind, or the editorial problems, or the internal pay problems. You don't care about that, Gundam. You don't actually care about the people behind this. You just want your fix. Here, let me be blunt here, Gundam, since you will eventually watch this because you're an egotist that level. You're not Guts. You're one of the random people in the bar that runs away when conflict happens. Because you don't care. You don't care. You like Berserk because to you it's a power fantasy. And you know what? In and of itself, that's fine. I'm a He-Man fan. But the difference between you and me is I'm not the guy who runs. You've been running away from factual information this whole time. You're a coward.
I'm the guy who
was the
pees in
fact
your
of
bed.
knowing one of the greatest storytellers and writers had died before he finished his art. And as Michelangelo, I believe, said, or was it Leonardo da Vinci, no art is ever finished, only abandoned. And that is true art.
Like your parents did you.
That's something else entirely. If I had $1 for every time the comic book industry slapped me in the face with the same fundamentally flawed...
What, that's it? That's all we're going to talk about comics? Oh, comics are amazing. Oh, sorry, manga. I'm sorry.
Yep.
Had a brain tumor there. That's all he's going to say about manga?
And apparently,
like, I thought...
Mjolnir being depicted as a female, which, by the way, a lot of weapons are usually considered feminine for whatever reason. That's being slapped in the face. You don't read comics. Why do you care?
Oh my God! Who touched Sasha?
Reimagining the characters, or just a clear disdain for the franchise that they were going to fix. Well, I wouldn't be making YouTube videos anymore.
Get a job.
You don't miss.
Oh God, please! Can you stop? Like, do me a solid, dude. Just go into those settings, press that little delete YouTube button, and oh my God, you'll do everybody a favor.
I bet he doesn't even lift.
Marvel. Or you better know her as Captain Marvel now.
That dude's complaining about how women are drawn like that is some cheesecake right there.
Yeah.
And I am okay with it anyways.
Back when she was Miss Marvel, she kicked ass. She was likable. Carol Danvers was a great character.
Name me one thing about Captain Marvel from that era that you know about, apart from the fact that, well, she wasn't an SJW back then. Please name me one thing about the character that you know. Any piece of trivia.
Titty.
Any. I don't even care if you Google it.
He liked the tit.
Like the big S on her tits. Cool.
There wasn't, I never had an issue with her until she became like the.
Because you probably never paid attention to her.
Real quick, Leandro says, Lio, Shonen Jump canceled over 30 titles in the past 2 years, but you will not hear them complaining about how OMG Shueisha is dying true, because they don't know, because they don't care.
Right.
The proxy for the new vision of Marvel just turned into this abhorrent, annoying character. Then you had the Brie Larson movie, and it's just like
the entire reason why people don't like Brie Larson's Captain Marvel is because she said something mean that they didn't like.
I think your chat attracted a bot.
Yeah, I already got it handled.
Okay.
Good God. What are you doing?
Don't buy my...
What is she doing? What? I'm not a fan of Captain Marvel or Brie Larson or her views, but what did she do? Apart from state her opinions about
apparently
things?
her movie bad, and her movie's so bad it totally didn't make billions.
But how is it her fault?
It just is.
Okay.
Listen and believe, Jace. Listen and believe.
Fair enough. Shit.
Now I have absolutely no love for the character. None.
Really?
But
really? What gave that away?
Didn't but to begin.
Didn't pick up on it.
Manga, holy hell, man. Here's a good manga. Inuyashiki, not Inuyasha.
Why did he show Berserk beforehand?
I don't know.
That's
okay, well, let's
manga.
listen about this one.
It's about an old guy who gets taken over by an alien sort of entity, and it makes him like a machine or something. And he's trying to help and save people, dude. It's an old man who's the hero.
Okay.
And he has to stop a good-looking young dude who's a psychotic killer.
Okay, you want a story like that in comics? Fine, by all means. Right off the top of my head,
More
Destroyer.
does this sound
the
like
Max title?
Does this sound like somebody who's passionate about what he's talking about?
No, he sounds monotone and dead.
This dude wouldn't survive 5 seconds of us talking about comics in the Senate, would he?
No, yeah, dude, we kill calls in Senate constantly whenever we start talking about comics because guess what? We absolutely love that medium. And I'm not going to tell you that, I'm not going to start preaching about, well, I'm a bigger fan than this guy or anything like that. I know I'm a bigger fan than this guy. I know that he's not actually a fan, that he's a grifter, but I'm not going to go on that talking point. My point is that, old man kicks ass, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, comics have a plethora of stories like that. Like I said, go read Destroyer, Max imprint. That's literally about a superhero who is literally dying from old age, but he's still pulling his ass out of bed every day to go and save the world against a psychopath.
It was such a good story.
Yep. So it's like, fuck, man. It's so... comics are dead, Leo. That's it. That's all it is.
Even
Manga
though the numbers literally say otherwise. But let's continue.
A story.
We're almost done.
You go look into it.
No, I don't
Let's think of some other great ones. Berserk, Gantz, One Punch Man, Demon Slayer, Goblin Slayer, Vinland Saga. The list goes on.
So all the stuff that you read on a popularity list that got you interested because it's popular and you don't know how to
let
your own things.
Exactly. Let's not mention shit like, I don't know, Naruto, Inuyasha,
like, dude, the
Dragon Ball
Fist
Super.
of the North Star is finally getting full printing in English here in the States. Hardback covers, and I am loving them. And you know what he doesn't talk about? Doesn't talk about Fist of the North Star. The granddaddy of shonen that he is apparently obsessed with, because that's all he listened, with the exception of, like, Berserk, which isn't shonen.
But dude, I'm not even a fan of manga. It's not my appeal, right? And even I heard about Berserk because nobody shuts the fuck up about Berserk.
Me and Norden don't.
Yeah, it's literally everywhere. I get recommended YouTube videos constantly. So him saying that I've read Berserk, I'm going like, oh, you're a really vanilla manga type of person. Like you really are into just like the things that are popular, aren't you? Like a grifter.
I miss
like
Vagabond.
A grifter.
Vagabond was really good, but the artist has been a hiatus for like a decade. But let's continue.
And on. I don't have all day to kick names to you.
But you had all day to run your mouth about comics bad because your feelings are hurt. That's all it really comes down to. They make me feel bad about who I am. Well, yeah. Probably because you're a terrible person. We should all feel bad. Everybody should feel bad.
I don't know if he's a terrible person. He is definitely a worthless person. I'll tell you that much.
I'm just giving you the big names that I personally liked. It's no wonder manga piracy is higher than American comic book sales.
Oh, and I'm going to get into that too. I'm letting him play through because I want to slap him.
Could ever hope to be. Currently, when your competitor loses more to thieves than you can even sell.
You're not even in direct competition. And I'm going to tell you why here in a minute.
We're going to get into that.
You're knocking on death's door. I could have summed up this whole video in...
So comics are at higher point than they've ever been for decades now, but they're knocking on death's door. Brilliant. I'm not going to continue the rest of it because he's going on mush-mouthingly. So let me go ahead and break down the numbers. Okay, so let's see here. Japan has 125.8 million people. Out of those numbers, let's see here. About 33 to 41% of Japanese people read manga.
Mm-hmm.
Now, keep in mind...
That's a massive number.
Let me go ahead and do the calculations here.
It's real math. Like, see, this is where you get it for autistic detail. We're actually doing math on stream right now, guys.
Math! And I hate math. 1, 2, 5, 8. Okay. So that is... Whew, that is 50 million people reading manga alone. Manga alone. Now, in America, in America, the population that reads comics, by the way, not manga, is about 70 million, which for the record isn't even close to 1% of the American population. So here's what happens. Japan already has a massive lead in terms of demographic by selling to its own people. And then you have the crossover here of the people in America that also read manga. That by nature is going to put it ahead. Because there's more people in Japan that read manga than there are people in the States that read comics. In terms of percentage-wise. Obviously there's a like 20 million people difference. But that's really negligible. That's why manga sells more. The other issue you can get into is that 90+%, and I don't know the exact statement, is in the 90s, of American comics are all superhero comics. Hate to tell you this, but manga's greatest strength, and this is going to piss some people off, is diversity. Diversity of storytelling.
I would even argue it's its greatest strength and its greatest weakness. Because whilst they have diverse stories that can be cool and explore a plethora of things, I mean, manga definitely explores horror way better than comics do.
Oh, it does.
Yeah. At the same time, they explore some other things that are kind of fucked up and shit, you know? So
not gonna pretend otherwise.
Oh yeah. And those things can easily turn off readers as well.
But when it comes to this, like, if you want to read a story about somebody just existing in high school, you can get that in manga. You can't really get that in comics. If you want to read a story about an underdog, you can get that in both. But with comics, it's going to be superhero related. And some people just don't really dig superheroes. And that's fine. They don't have to. For manga, it's just about anything. That's why it has that strength. And it's not always because it's better written or better drawn. Again, these people are all but sweatshop laborers. They kill themselves working on these books. But these idiots here, they don't care about that. They do hit
that would not videos. That's the thing. That's another thing. That would not be, I'm assuming, allowed in America.
Oh no, we have labor laws.
Exactly. There's labor laws. Whereas over there, it's fucking slave labor. You work yourself to death, motherfucker, and you get that deadline. Or else you're going to go unpaid today.
There's also the fact that there's more people working on a single American comic than there are people working on a single manga.
Yeah, it's just one person, isn't it? Or two max, usually.
And no, Western comics does not need more Yuri or Yaoi. They need none of that. None of that. They just need better diversity in storytelling. They need to be able to reach audiences that aren't just, I want to see the buff dude punch the other dude. That's my thing. I'm fine with that. But, yeah, they need more than just that. They need some heartfelt stuff, some home stuff that isn't all just in the indie books.
Right. But now that you've crunched those numbers, right, what I'm more confused about is this narrative that manga's killing comics. How are those two markets even remotely related? That's what I don't understand. Where did this dumb narrative come from? Because surely when you're talking about, quote unquote, the death of comics, you'd be talking about the supposed decline of sales in comics. Why would you possibly be comparing the sales in comics to sales in manga? That's what I don't understand. Manga's thriving. Fan-fucking-tastic. Cool. That's amazing. How is it affecting comics exactly?
Well, the thing is, for manga to be killing comics, you'd have to take readers from comics and put them into manga exclusively.
Exactly.
And that doesn't often happen, if it ever.
Exactly. That's what I mean. It's like I told you this before when we were discussing this video. I'll say it again on stream. It's like a car washing business, and then there's a shoe polish business. And let's say the car washing business goes out of business, right? but the shoe polish business is still in the business. And I'm like, yeah. And then it's like saying the car washing business went out of business because the shoe polish business is thriving. How? Those two things are not related.
Unfortunately, I have your answer.
No, go ahead.
Chuck Dixon.
Chuck Dixon?
Chuck Dixon made the initial comparison and started the narrative that manga is outselling comics and therefore manga's killing comics, and these idiots ran with it.
Really? That was Chuck?
That was Chuck.
It's right in the heartstrings. I mean, I don't know. Like, that's a dumb take. I don't exactly hate him for it. Chuck Dixon has always... Like, that's the thing, right? These morons will quote authors like Mike Barron and Chuck Dixon, who have always been open about their politics, always. And I will never shit on Chuck Dixon or Mike Barron, because they were always able to some extent put their politics aside to deliver. Like, it was there, but they were able to deliver fun stories, and they were always consistent about their views in politics. Always consistent. Chuck Dixon you're going to talk to today is the same Chuck Dixon that wrote some of the amazing stories that he's responsible years ago. You cannot say the same thing about these idiots. So, even though he's responsible for it,
most of them aren't even writers. Most of them are just complainers and whiners that don't actually care about what they're criticizing. They just know that the outraged farm gives them money for it, because the people who watch it feel like their values need to be reflected in other people. It's the same reason why that Motu Thunder guy, except in the inverse, showed up in the Senate and ran his mouth. Is because I didn't validate his opinion. So because I did not validate this idiot's opinion about, again, toys, he goes on spiels like, well, I live in the same place you, I'd burn your house down. Because I criticized toys. These people just want their worldview enforced. They want what they want in fiction, and nobody else should be catered to. And it's dumb. Not only dumb from a writing perspective, but also dumb from wanting to make money perspective.
Right. You know what else is dumb from a writing perspective? Oh, this character has changed, and I don't like it. I'm like, wow, really? Like, you'd rather the character stay the same over the years? Guess what would happen? The character would be boring as fuck.
Well, they don't read comics, so... Also, real fun thing, I remember a couple years ago when Grant Morrison came out as non-binary. And the typical morons were raging about, like, oh, he's just trying to get that diversity check mark. And I just sat there and I turned to some of them, like, figuratively. And, of course, when I had the main Twitter account back up. If you guys think that this makes him stupid or crazy, you have not ever talked to this man, and you haven't heard some of the things he said. This dude thinks he has the power to cure cancer in cats, but this is off the ball for you?
Come on, if Alan Moore can summon snake gods, I believe everything.
Those two have mystic battles on the pages of comics.
But one last thing I want to address is one of the complaints that comic gators love to make, and it wasn't made in this video, but it's just since we're covering the whole thing. One of the complaints they like to make is that comics are very expensive, and that's why comics sales are declining, supposedly, right? Comics are expensive. Now, I'll link you a video. I'll say what it is. The video is called, the video is made by Kevin Street. It's titled The Problem with Comicsgate. This is a guy who apparently pledged money to various projects made by Comicsgate YouTubers. So people like Richard C. Meyer, Ethan Van Sciver, and a few others. He pledged his money to it. For a single issue of one comic, one of those comics, he had to pledge $25. $25 for a single issue. Now, then he talks about what he was able to buy, in a comic book store, modern stuff, like the stuff that just came out recently. He was able to buy a Batman comic that apparently is really good according to him for just $6, with outstanding art and stuff, and etc. And these guys have the balls to complain about comics being too expensive when they charge their audiences $25+ for a single issue of questionable art and shitty stories? That's amazing. If that doesn't tell you everything you need to know about these people, I don't know what will.
Real quick, Autobot Starscream says, I'm pulling your chain about gay romance in comics because the anti-SJWs will be reading about it, but I die on the hill that Dragon Ball and Sailor Moon count as superhero stories. I disagree. Sailor Moon does. I would not say Dragon Ball counts as it. Because Sailor Moon does what she does because it's the right thing to do. Goku just likes fighting people, and he could not care less about the moral value of what's going on.
He's also good because he has brain damage.
There's your representation. God, we're terrible.
What? Goku was like one of the most popular disabled characters out there. I mean, that's amazing.
I hate the fact that you're right.
Well, did we address everything, Leo?
It's a Gundam on the off chance you do read this. Get good. Learn to argue. Learn to actually show what you're talking about instead of just saying, dude, trust me. And prepare to have your inbox flooded with a bunch of people that hate me and want you to go after me because they're too much of pussies themselves to do it.
From me, delete your channel. I don't actually wish you death, like I said before, but delete your channel. That's what I do truly wish for. Can you delete your channel? Cool. Thanks, man. Hit me up. We'll do lunch.
No, you won't.
Well, you don't know me. I'll do whatever I want.
You don't like spending money.
Yeah, he's going to be buying me dinner. You heard him. He's probably a closeted gay man because he's so angry.
He's finally going to get that gay man date he's always wanted.
As long as he's paying for it, fuck it, I'll go for it. I don't care.
Let me tell you about my favorite mangas, Chase. Oh, please, please. I'm going to go ahead and put rat poison in your food, but you go ahead. Go ahead. It's fine. It's fine. So yeah, he did not live up to the autistic detail, which again, I expect. Like if I want an actual autistic individual giving me detail, all I have to do is mention Thomas the Tank Engine, and I will be inundated with. And this, I'm not saying this is a negative. Like it's fascinating how they're able to figure all this out. I'll be told what type of train he is, what time frame he actually ran from, what was inaccurate. And I'm not saying this isn't Thomas the Tank Engine fan autistic. I say that's actually kind of interesting. That's actually
impressive, even
impressive. In some cases, kind of cool when I want it, but not when I don't.
So, chat, tell us about your Thomas the Tank Engine trivia.
God, stop that. Well, thank you all for joining us. We've been on for 2 hours now, and Jace probably has to get stuff done, and so do I. So we'll catch you all next time.
See ya.
And Motu Thunder is a big dummy, and his daddy is a dog.